Effective, successful conflict de-escalation is a lot more than just knowing what to say and how to say it in a given moment. You've got to be aware of the things that you could do and avoid doing so that you don't inadvertently escalate a situation. And you especially need to be aware of some personal safety strategies and tactics, because it doesn't do anyone any good, and especially you, if you inadvertently put yourself in a situation that escalates and then you get hurt or your colleagues also get hurt. I want to talk about an office type scenario that my team and I do. And I recently observed this scenario being executed, and I want to talk about the lessons out of that and just the mentality and what was going on through someone's mind as they did this scenario, so that we can pass it on to you so that you can keep it in mind in case you ever find yourself in a similar situation. Very small office environment right here. This is an enclosed area. From the front door, from the door of the office to the desk is probably about 4 feet. This office is a little bit wider, probably about 15 feet long and all that. Now, the office scenario that I observed very recently, the office space was literally just a little bit larger than just a little closet. All right, so what we have, here's a scenario. An angry customer or client is in this office berating, being loud, rude, and obnoxious to one of your colleagues who's seated, okay? So you have a person seated at the desk right here who's more, for the scenario, is more of a prop, because the student coming in to execute the scenario, it's their job to try to de-escalate the situation. And then we have an angry person who's standing over them like this, being loud and rude and obnoxious, and they're banging their hand on the desk and all that. Now, number one, for personal safety, if you are in an office environment and you have an office, a cubicle or something like that, just look around your office and be aware of the things around you that could potentially be used as a weapon, either against you or that you could use defensively. You've got a little container right here full of scissors and pens and pencils. Just be aware of that they're there. And especially if someone who's in your office who's loud, rude, and obnoxious, there's no way you can completely sterilize your office. Just be aware of the things around you. If you're seated in an office area and you're dealing with someone who's loud, rude, and obnoxious, you can very casually reach over and just move some of the items away from this person, right, as a personal safety thing. And or at least you're aware of their location, so in the event you have to defend yourself, you can quickly reach over and grab it. So here's the situation. We have an office person seated at the desk. We have an angry person, loud, rude, obnoxious, and screaming and banging on the table right here. And now in comes our student to de-escalate the situation. His mind, he tells me, was as soon as he came into the area right here and he saw what was going on, his mind went to, I need to protect my colleague. I need to protect my colleague, which is good. But how he executed it can be a little bit tweaked, because what he did was he walked into the office and he immediately placed himself between his female, in this particular case, between her and the angry person. Now, but in effect, by doing this, he was literally nose to nose with the angry person. Now, can you see where that could have escalated the situation? Imagine you in an office or in a situation where you're upset about something, you're kind of ticked off, whatever the situation is, and someone comes up and gets right up in your face. That's a very antagonistic, confrontational thing to do. What you can do instead is to create some type of dialogue and a distraction to the angry person. Hey, sir, I understand you're upset about something. Just pick up this conversation and try to get their attention and focus off of your colleague, because the scenario was they're really yelling and screaming at your colleague right here. So I've shifted the camera, so now we're looking from the office desk outside, all right? So we've got a student who's coming in here to try to de-escalate the situation. He observes his colleague who's sitting on the chair, and he sees that there's an angry person standing over her, yelling and screaming and banging on the table. Now, and like I said, in his case, he walked up and literally got right into this person's face, to get between him, the subject, and his colleague. This whole thing can be tweaked a little bit differently. All right, first of all, you come up, take a deep breath, and assess the situation. Is this person actively assaulting or harming anyone? No, he's just standing there. He or she is just standing here being loud, rude, obnoxious. Take a deep breath, slow down, and don't get yourself into a position where you get so tunnel visioned on protecting your colleague that you end up doing something, in this case, getting in this person's face that could escalate the situation. Stand here. Create a dialogue, create a distraction. Hey, sir, ma'am, I understand you seem to be very upset about something. Is there anything I can do to help? Get their attention off the colleague. Whatever the situation is, try to create a distraction. Now, have you ever noticed this phenomenon where you're talking to somebody, and you probably have already done it today several times. You're talking to somebody, and then one of you starts to walk away, and the other one follows. Once you get that hook, you get this conversation with somebody, and I've done this very effectively, not only as a police officer, but I've seen it work, and I've done it in a church environment, an office environment. This is absolutely a proven technique and so on. It requires you to have patience. Again, if there's an active assault or something going on, well then no, obviously we got to adjust and improvise and adapt to the situation. But in a case like this, where the scenario is just someone, a colleague sitting there and a person just being loud and rude, they haven't hurt anyone, they haven't attacked anyone, this could be a way to handle the situation. Standing over here, maintaining a reactionary gap, because again, there's items on the table that could potentially be used as a weapon, all right? So you're maintaining this reactionary gap, create a dialogue, create a connection, and it could go something like this. After a short few moments of conversation, make sure you've got a good connection, a good hook, a relationship, or rapport with them. You can suddenly start to walk away and go, oh, hey, can I get you a cup of coffee? And this way you can just draw them out of the office. But it's critical before that works is that you have this good dialogue with them. As you're talking, start to walk away. Chances are, again, you've had this happen to you, and you've done it probably with your friends. You're out there talking, walking, one of you starts to walk away, and just to keep moving in the direction they wanted to go, and you start to follow. So that's an effective way of drawing someone out of an area that you don't want them to be at. Especially, again, if there's no active assault or aggression going on. It's just someone being loud, rude, obnoxious. Distract them from your colleague, get a good connection with them, and then start to walk away and say, hey, can I get you a cup of coffee or a bottle of water? And just walk away. Chances are very good they're going to follow you. Why? Because you've created this connection. They're talking to someone, who's showing them a certain amount of respect, dignity. You're validating and affirming them. They're going to be drawn to that. And that's how you can draw someone out of this office. Okay, back to this view again. So take a long, slow, deep breath as you're walking up to where you're going to help your assistant out. Let's say you're in an office and you hear some loud voices or whatever, so you come over to see what's going on, see if you can help out. You see this scene where a colleague is dealing with someone who's loud, rude, and obnoxious, standing over them and all that. Don't just go rushing in there. Take a moment to actually assess the situation. Is there an active act of aggression or hostilities, and is someone getting hurt? No. Slow down before you just go rushing in there and inadvertently do something that could escalate the situation, like getting in someone's face. Stand at the doorway, create a distraction, create a dialogue, create a conversation, get that person's focus off your colleague onto you, and then you can just start walking away, offering them a bottle of water or a cup of coffee or whatever, and they will follow you. More likely than not, they will follow you. For those of you who find yourself in a situation where you're seated and all that, just keep in mind that anytime you're in a lower position and someone has the high ground, you're kind of in a tough situation right there. Without popping up into their face and getting into their face, as someone is standing over there and they're loud and they're rude, you can back away a little bit and then stand up so that you're more even eye to eye with them. And okay, it depends on the situation, but I want you, again, keep in mind personal safety stuff. You don't want to be caught in an inferior situation with someone with the high ground. Yeah, okay? And so that's basically about it. Small office, enclosed environment. Try to avoid just being sucked into an enclosed environment and inadvertently doing something where you could escalate it by, in this particular example, getting into someone's face. All right, stand at the doorway, maintain a reactionary gap, create a connection with them, them and then start to walk away, which invariably will draw them out of the office that you want them out of. And then again, continue the dialogue, offer them a cup of coffee or a bottle of water and all that. But it's critical. It's critical. Slow down. Slow down. Take a deep breath to keep yourself calm. Assess the situation, and don't develop your own tunnel vision, worried about trying to protect, being overly worried about protecting your colleague, that you don't use good tactics and you don't use good technique on trying to effectively de-escalate the situation. So again, effective, successful conflict de-escalation is more than just knowing what to say and how to say it, but also the things that you could do to effectively and successfully de-escalate a situation and make sure that everyone goes home safe and nothing gets broken. We'll see you on the next video.